Good morning, everybody. Between Pesach and Shavuos, there's a holiday called Lag BaOmer. Lag BaOmer is a time that we celebrate the passing of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, his accomplishments, the fact that he inspired many in the ways of Kabbalah. He was the author of the Zohar. His students wrote it down, and this became a great day of celebration. In the Chabad movement, especially by the Lubavitcher Rebbe, this was a big day, and what he did was that he implemented that they should make a big parade in front of 770. In front of the Eastern Parkway, they would shut down the whole main road, and thousands of kids, all different schools, from day schools to religious schools and everything in between, they would come and they would have a day, an outing, to come to the headquarters of Chabad, 770, and the Rebbe would speak, and the kids would get different snacks, and then they would have all these floats, all these different presentations for the kids, that they would see all different things that people built that would represent different mitzvahs, different good deeds, different commandments in the Torah. And then after that, they would march through the main road in front of the Rebbe. There were different bands. It was very, very nice, very entertaining. And then they would go down to another section of the community where they had rides. They would shut down another street where they had all the rides. So one of the guys that was involved in this in a very big degree was Rabbi J.J. Hecht. He was involved. He was in charge of making sure all these things happen. So one time, Rabbi J.J. Hecht spoke to the Rebbe and says, don't you think it's so much, there's thousands and thousands of dollars of this going in, people spending hours building the yeshiva students in every different school. They built a float and they would have to have a theme and make sure they're not, doing the same thing as somebody else. And then Home Depot was making a lot of money. Everybody was making money off them. So don't you think it's like, a little over the top? So the Rebbe said, I'll tell you a story. The Rebbe said one year, Lag BaOmer, after the whole parade was in the first part, and kids were by the rides, the Rebbe was on the way to the Ohel to pray by his father-in-law, and he asked the driver to drive down that other street, which was also quite big, and he wanted to see the kids and everything, how they're having a good time. So what happened was, when the Rebbe came, everything stopped cold turkey, because the Rebbe is here, everybody was in attention. So even the people operating the rides, they stopped the rides. So they had, one of the rides was this big wheel going all the way up and all the way down. And as a kid, when you're on top, it's a little scary. You have to push yourself, but you go. So that ride also stopped. And there was one kid, the Rebbe says, there was one kid on top that I knew him. I know his name, I know his mother's name, I know everybody, the whole family. And I see him on top in the car, I'm watching. And the kid was there, and he got scared. The machine, the ride stops in the middle, and it said he's on top. He's stuck up there. It's not exactly a comfortable place to be stuck. So he calls out in all sincerity, with the pureness of his heart. He calls out, "What do you do when you're scared?" He calls out Shema. He just says the Shema, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. So the Rebbe said, for that, the whole thing was worth it. The whole thing was worth it. Why? Because that's the one moment that the pureness of the person is involved, is expressed. So really, in Yiddishkeit, it's not recommended to be real. It's very nice when a person is real and honest and open. By us, this is what we have to yearn for. This is what we have to strive for. This is what we have to try to bring out within ourselves, that we should have those moments of truth, of pureness, that there's a true expression from us to Hashem. And when we do that, we make that connection with the essence of our soul. So Hashem should bless us all. We should be inspired. We should reveal that connection that we have, the essence of the Yid, the pintele, the point, the spark of the Jew with the spark of Hashem.